just 2 miles apart, yet a distance that now defines the divide within the House of Windsor. King Charles III arrived at Sandringham this weekend, but despite staying only minutes away from his younger brother, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, there was no meeting, no visit, no acknowledgement, and no sign of reconciliation. Subscribe for clear, factual royal updates as we continue to follow developments that shape the future of the monarchy. The king, aged 77, traveled to the Sandringham estate in Norfolk on Friday. It is a residence steeped in royal tradition, a private sanctuary long associated with reflection, duty, and family gatherings. Yet this visit unfolded under markedly different circumstances. Just 2 miles from the main house lies Wood Farm. Once a quiet retreat within the estate, it is now the residence of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly the Duke of York. A prince who once stood prominently within the royal hierarchy now lives there in effective exile. On Sunday morning, the king was due to attend church on the estate. Witnesses observed his vehicle leaving Sandringham and driving in the direction of Wood Farm, a journey of roughly 5 minutes by car. But there was no stop, no detour, no private discussion between brothers. It is understood that the king has no plans to meet Andrew. The absence of contact carries weight, not simply as a personal decision, but as a matter of royal protocol and institutional consequence. Andrew's position within the royal family has steadily deteriorated over recent years. Once a senior working royal and former trade envoy, his public role collapsed following his association with convicted pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. Although Andrew has consistently denied wrongdoing, his continued contact with Epstein after the latter's conviction triggered intense public criticism. The situation escalated further when it emerged that Andrew had maintained communication with Epstein despite previously insisting that he had cut off contact. The revelation proved deeply damaging, not only to Andrew personally, but to the crown. In response, King Charles took decisive action. Andrew was ordered to vacate Royal Lodge in Windsor, the grand residence he had occupied for years. The move signaled a clear shift in the king's approach to the crisis: containment, distance, and institutional preservation. Wood Farm at Sandringham became Andrew's new home. Sources close to the king have indicated that Charles is funding his brother's relocation and living arrangements. The intention, it is understood, is to ensure that Andrew does not become a financial burden on others, while remaining removed from the central royal sphere. This arrangement reflects a careful balancing act. On one hand, familial responsibility. On the other, the imperative to protect the monarchy's integrity. The distance between Sandringham House and Wood Farm may be only 2 miles, but symbolically, it represents a far greater separation. The timing of the king's visit is particularly significant. On Thursday, February 19th, Andrew's 66th birthday, Thames Valley police officers attended Wood Farm. The former prince was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. He was questioned and later released from custody under investigation. The development marked another serious chapter in a saga that has already reshaped his standing beyond repair. In a formal statement following the arrest, the king addressed the situation with measured gravity. "I have learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and suspicion of misconduct in public office," he said. "What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities. In this, as I have said before, they have our full and wholehearted support and cooperation. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. As this process continues, it would not be right for me to comment further on this matter. Meanwhile, my family and I will continue in our duty and service to you all." The message was deliberate. It emphasized process, authority, legal independence, and above all, duty. There was no defense, no minimization, no emotional appeal. For a constitutional monarch, that restraint is essential. The crown must remain above controversy. The king's responsibility is not to shield an individual, but to safeguard the institution itself. Andrew's exclusion from recent royal events underscores that strategy. He was reportedly absent from the royal family's Christmas gathering at Sandringham. Public appearances have ceased. Military titles and royal patronages were previously returned. The pattern is unmistakable: withdrawal, distancing, containment. In modern monarchy, perception carries immense weight. Public confidence underpins constitutional stability. Every decision taken by the sovereign reverberates beyond the palace walls. King Charles ascended the throne pledging continuity, stability, and service. His reign has already required firm decisions, particularly regarding the streamlined working monarchy he has long advocated. That vision leaves little room for scandal. By avoiding contact during his stay at Sandringham, the king reinforces a principle: personal relationships cannot override public accountability. The monarchy operates within a framework of hierarchy and responsibility. Senior working royals represent the state. Their conduct reflects directly upon the crown. When allegations arise, distance becomes necessary. The fact that Andrew now resides on a royal estate, yet remains outside. Royal life illustrates this dual reality. He is both inside and outside the institution, supported privately, separated publicly. It is not known when the king and his brother last met. Such uncertainty further highlights the extent of Andrew's isolation. Once fourth in line to the throne, once entrusted with international representation, he now occupies a marginal position defined by investigation rather than influence. For King Charles, the stakes are considerable. The monarchy has endured periods of turbulence before, but each generation must reassert its legitimacy anew. Transparency, accountability, and visible adherence to the rule of law are no longer optional. They are expected. By stating that the law must take its course, the king aligns the crown firmly with judicial process rather than personal loyalty. That alignment matters. It signals to the public that no individual, regardless of birth or title, stands above scrutiny. At the same time, the king's refusal to elaborate further protects constitutional neutrality. A monarch cannot be seen to interfere in active investigations. Silence in this context is not avoidance, it is protocol. The broader implications extend beyond the immediate controversy. King Charles has been steadily reshaping the operational structure of the royal family. A smaller, more focused group of working royals. Clearer lines of responsibility, reduced public expenditure. Andrew's removal from public duties fits within that trajectory. The episode at Sandringham this weekend serves as a visual representation of that restructuring. 2 residences, 2 brothers, 2 entirely different roles. One continues in visible service, attending church, conducting engagements, representing the nation. The other remains under investigation, absent from public duty, and removed from ceremonial life. The contrast is stark. And yet, the king's decision not to meet Andrew during this visit avoids the appearance of impropriety at a sensitive time. Public trust in the monarchy depends not only on action, but on perception of action. Even a private meeting could invite scrutiny, questions, interpretation. By maintaining distance, the king limits those risks. For Andrew, the consequences are ongoing. Release under investigation does not equate to resolution. The process now unfolds under the authority of the appropriate legal bodies. As the king has stated, it must be full, fair, and proper. Until that process concludes, Andrew's position remains frozen, neither formally restored nor entirely erased. But within royal hierarchy, absence speaks volumes. The House of Windsor has weathered abdication, crisis, and reform. It has adapted to shifting expectations across decades. King Charles now navigates his own defining challenge: upholding tradition while demonstrating accountability in an era of relentless public scrutiny. This weekend's events at Sandringham may appear understated. No confrontation, no dramatic announcement. But symbolism within monarchy is powerful. A 5-minute drive not taken, a meeting declined, a statement grounded in law and duty. Each element contributes to a broader narrative of institutional preservation. For the king, the priority is clear: continuity of service to the nation. For Andrew, the future remains uncertain, dependent on legal process and outcomes yet to be determined. The physical proximity at Sandringham highlights an emotional and constitutional divide that may persist for years. In royal history, some separations are loud and public. Others unfold quietly, measured, deliberate, and unmistakable. This weekend belonged to the latter. The king attended to his responsibilities. Andrew remained at Wood Farm, and the monarchy moved forward, carefully, cautiously, and with clear intent. For continuing, factual coverage of the royal family and the decisions shaping its future, subscribe and stay informed.